Hello and welcome to Find Your Freedom, a podcast dedicated to helping you truly find freedom in all aspects of life. Join your hosts and their expert guests as they share practical tips and strategies for finding more freedom in your life. It's time to take control of your life and create the future you want. Let's find your freedom. Here are your hosts, Lenny the Boss and Omid Rad Investor.
Boom. Awesome. How's everybody doing out there, man? We have some awesome friends here at the show because we don't have guests. We only do friends. But before we get into that, you know that we have to have something for you that's going to help you with your journey, all right? We have something that's going to be easily downloadable. So just go to this website, www.findyourfreedom, findyourfreedom.com/freedom kit. Find your freedom. REI.com/freedom kit. Download it. Believe me, it's going to absolutely change your life. It changed your needs. It changed mine. And we giving it to you. All right. So with that being said, we got two of some very cool individuals, man. We just was laughing and joking right before we kicked this puppy off. And I can't wait until they tell you the story. I'm not going to tell you anything about them. I'm going to let them sit here and tell all of us about who they are because they are excellent. And I am super excited to jump in. So, Mr. Reid and Devana, how you doing? How are you?
Good. Thank you guys so much for having us. We're excited to be here.
Doing it excellent. Yeah.
Fantastic. Listen, I know we're going to sit here and have some fun today. So before we jump into that fun, can you just let the audience and the listeners know just a little bit about yourself?
Do you want me to start? Sure. So my name's Devana. Let's see. I'm a high school dropout turned real estate investor. I love traveling the world. I have passion for helping people along the way. I love living a healthy lifestyle with fitness and eating organic food as much as possible. But yeah, I just love what I do now. I get to help people and in real estate invest.
So I came from a small farm town in Oregon, and I moved to California in my early 20s and decided I wanted to take on the world. So what defines me is the challenge. So I'm looking for the challenge. I'm looking for something that somebody says is difficult, and that's what drives me. So outside of my drive, I want to travel the world with my wife. After meeting her, she's shown me there's a lot more to life than just driving and working hard and everything. So she kind of pulls me back a little bit and reminds me that I gotta play a little bit too. But outside of that, I'm just working hard and trying to travel the world. We're really enjoying together, meeting people and helping people along the way as well.
So I'm looking at your beard, and I think the first time we met, it was at a meetup, and I just couldn't stop looking at your beard. Like, you have like an awesome beard. So. And I also like the balance. I think you sound like you're a total grinder, and I know you have that commercial kind of contractor sort of background, and then we got the lighthearted. Let's go enjoy ourselves. Let's go have some fun, and so I think that balance goes really well to kind of combining your story. So I'm really excited to kind of touch on that a little bit, and how you even stumbled upon your first part of your portfolio when you first started your journey.
So I'm very lighthearted and want to have fun, but I also in that part in creative, and so I get all these ideas and this we could do this and we could do this, and so I'm the one that comes up with the ideas, and then I look at Reid and I'm like, okay, now go make it happen. So.
She's totally the visionary in this relationship. I don't see color. I mean, literally I can see color, but I have no idea what color looks good. She's the visionary, she's the creative one, and then I implement. So yeah, we definitely even each other out a little bit.
So we were driving down the freeway, 2014, and I was a stay-at-home mom at this point and just wanting something more, but didn't want to have to leave my kids and whatnot. So I looked over at him and I said, oh, we need to buy a house and start a sober living. And I just remember so distinctly, he looked over, he's like, okay. He had no idea what that meant, what I was gonna just drag him into. And we started looking and we bought our first house and created sober living. So what we like to do is take our real estate investments and get really creative and think outside of the box. And we've turned a lot of our single family homes into sober living homes. And just a little backstory on that. Do you want to say something to me?
No. I was just gonna interrupt. Like, so what even like? How do you even? Because I think the traditional person is gonna say, "Oh, I just want to, rent it long term, or I want to, now like short term rentals are popular." But I think that particular niche is so unique. Like, what even, gave you this idea? Hey, this is something I'm interested in.
So there's a couple parts to this because my brain I just want to tell you everything. So I'm not in recovery myself, but I did know people growing up that were close to me that struggled with drugs and alcohol. And I watched them go through sober livings or rehabs. And every time I dropped them off at a sober living, I would sometimes leave crying, going, oh, this is horrible. I could do this better. There's just a better way. And so when my kids were old enough that I had the time to do it, I went in and I freaking did it better. And actually, if you look at my website, which is very simple, by the way, it's nothing crazy, but I decorate kind of like you guys do of me, like it's bright colors and it kind of looks like they all say when they walk in, it reminds them of that old show,
The MTV show.
That MTV show, The Real World or something. Right? They walk in, they're like, wow, I feel like I'm in the real world. But when I first started, I had some mentors and they said to me, just remember to paint everything beige and go to the thrift store and just buy the cheapest furniture because they're going to thrash your houses. And I was like, in good Devana fashion, I don't listen to many people. I do it my own way, blaze my own trail. And I did it completely opposite than what everybody else told me as mentors. And I did it bright and I brought artwork in and I bought everything brand new and I put nothing in that house that I wouldn't put in my own house. And I've never had one person thrash it. Never had those experiences that those other people have had. And I love it.
Hey, well, let me ask you, because first and foremost, I want to commend the both of you of sitting here taking your real estate and turning it into a place where people can come and get help. First, I think that's just magnificent from the both of you. But on the flip side of things, I know you like to travel the world, which we're going to get into in a little bit. And traveling the world happens to cost a little bit of money, right? To do. So, with that being said, how did you know that, you was going to actually, make some money versus, just renting it long term?
So I'm gonna answer this too. Sorry, I don't mean to jump in. I'll let Reid talk in a second. But what I was gonna go into is there's so many different strategies, right? Well, actually, there's not a ton of different strategies. There's long-term, mid-term, short-term, whatever. And I know I'm guilty of like still to this day listening to podcasts and listening to people and like, oh, that sounds great. Oh, that sounds great. But I think the really important thing, and this is just my own humble opinion, is that whatever strategy you do, there's got to be some connectivity to it besides just, oh, it's going to make me a lot of money. Of course, you want to make money, right? Like that's important. But what I've seen over the years, and you guys might have seen this in your spaces as well, somebody will jump in and go, oh, I'm going to make a Airbnb or I'm going to do a sober living. And then when it gets hard or there's roadblocks in and they don't have that passion or that connective piece to that, they bounce. They're like, I'm out. This is hard. I couldn't make any money. I couldn't make it work. And I'm sitting here going, really? Like, you just got to push through the hard part. You got to figure it out. You got to pivot. You got to strategize. You got to you just figure it out. And I think you only do that when you have like a connective part to that or a passion part to it. Some people might not like Airbnb because they don't like being hospitable. Some people might not like sober living because they're like, I got to deal with like a drug addict. Like they can't wrap their head around that. They're going to fail because money alone isn't going to push them through the hard roadblocks that come. If that makes sense. I don't know if I said that right.
Totally.
If I can expand on that a little bit, when we got into this, we were just looking to pay for a home that we purchased, so that we weren't expecting to make big money or anything. We went into it knowing, okay, we can do this, and in 30 years, we own a home, right? That was really the thought process. We didn't know how much our expenses were going to be. I mean, we had a general idea. We went through numbers and everything, but we were really passionate with the idea of we can do something better in this space than what everybody else is doing. And that was the driving passion that we had that has driven us past what everybody else is doing, like all of our competition.
So going back to your question about like the affordability of stuff, I mean, we're at 3 sober living houses with a total of between 47 and 50 tenants. So each of the, I actually took house hacking to a whole nother level. I literally bed hack. I don't know how else to say it. Like there's no term that's been, I don't know how to explain sober living. So they're all in shared rooms. They basically rent their bed. And so, in one house we have 20, in another house we have 17, another house we have 10. And then throughout the month, somebody might leave and then another one comes in. But the way we have our fee structure, we get paid from that.
Now,
49 or 40.
Question.
Yeah.
Are these 3-bedroom homes or 4-bedroom?
No. So our smallest house is 5-bedroom. Our medium house is 6 and our largest one is 8.
Okay.
So, and we do it so nice. Like there's not bunk beds, because a lot of sober livings will put bunk beds and try to cram 10 people in like a little tiny room with 4 bunk beds. But we have no bunk beds. We call them Cadillac beds. It's kind of a term. If you're in that world, you know what that means. But we give them very good space. We have down comforters. The mattresses are comfortable. They get there, and so many times we hear, "This is the best night's sleep we've ever had. Like we feel safe. It's comfortable." They feel like, just because somebody is a recovering drug addict or alcoholic doesn't mean that they deserve to have a shithole. Excuse my language, right? They're just as. I don't find myself above or below anybody. I feel like everybody's just equal. We're just all different, right? We all have different talents and different things. So why would they deserve something less than what?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I want to touch on a couple of things you said. So, I mean, you talked about how like you want to have some sort of connectivity to like, whatever niche that you're in. And in this case, there's a you have a very high level of compassion for the community that you're serving. And I would say like, what would you say to somebody who says, oh, like I'm scared because all the worst case scenario. So maybe you can kind of walk us through what are some obstacles that you had to overcome, and like how were you able to kind of systemize everything so that it kind of runs itself for the most part?
Yep. Do I answer any of that, or do you want me to? I should.
Start all that.
So I manage all of our properties every day, but finding management is key, right? To anything. My managers make my life so easy. So we actually have managers that live in each house. They're there. They still can have another job outside of the house, but they live there to kind of oversee the house. They are also in recovery. So they know all about the manipulations that could come with, people who are getting clean and sober, recovering addicts. So that helps a lot. But we have great managers. The second part, we were so old school for so long because we've been doing this since 2014. We were just on spreadsheets and, like very old school. So we're just now getting to the place where we're implementing software management and different things that are kind of helping us organize ourselves. I'm learning a lot from just listening to different podcasts on how other people do it. And it's helped us a lot in modernizing, I guess, our situation. So yeah, just different softwares and stuff that we've started.
Yeah, I could say one of the things to expand a little bit on what Devana said in the beginning about finding the right management. A lot of that is us training the management. So I think we do that by trying to lead with heart and understanding and having compassion for people. And that's not to be walked over, or not going to be walked over. Setting boundaries, very firm boundaries, but then also being compassionate around that and helping people understand how to deal with those boundaries. A lot of people in life don't understand how to walk carefully around boundaries and to, uphold those boundaries. And so we're teaching our management people how to do that, how to set those boundaries and how to be firm with them. But then also to love the people around. And so we just create this environment that everybody is kind of happy to be in. It's not a, oh, I can't do that. It's, no, I don't really want to do that because that's going to hurt the overall feeling of the house, and I want this place to be great. This is my place of living, So there's a big aspect to that. And without going into, a long conversation on, all the specifics, I would say it's leading with heart and training people how to do that.
Yeah, I will say this too. Like, I've had to, as a female, because I have 28 guys, right? And then I have one female house. So as a female walking into some of these guys that have had they're pretty rough. Like, they're used to pumping their chest up a little bit. I've had to find that line. I am a sweet, nurturing person, but I will punch you in the throat. We are going to go toe to toe together. I can't get intimidated. I have to be don't mistake my kindness for weakness, because this can turn into I could pull that street side out real fast. So
quick.
Real
You're gonna be scared.
So I feel like there's this really cool respect line between me and the people in our house. Also, finding the managers is the hard part. So once you have your house established, it gets easier because then you can pull within. So our managers have lived in our house 2-3 years, so they know how it runs. They know the vibe we want, and then we just get these amazing managers. It's, we don't just have to hire out all the time.
No, that's great. And once again, I'm really loving this story. And when you think about all of us real estate investors and we're out looking to sit there and purchase property, we always think about, okay, well, we're purchasing this property for a short-term rental. Well, what happens if the short-term rental don't work? Or we're purchasing this property for a long-term rental. Well, what happens if it does not work? And right now you're given another avenue of what you can do with one of your properties, which is this sober living. So with that being said, because this is all new to me, honestly speaking, I never thought to take any of my real estate and turn it into one of these, so I guess for me, for the listeners, if you could just go in just a little bit about how much time does it take? This is kind of 3 things. How much time does it take? How much staff does it take? And I guess if you can get into the money, if you like to, how much money does these properties generate?
Yeah. So in the beginning, I think like anything, it takes a minute, right? It takes a minute to find your procedures and set everything up and kind of form your the vibe of the house that you want. So I would say the first year for me, I really went over there a lot. I kind of had meetings with the people. I got to know everybody. I put a lot more time and energy into, just building the vibe of the house. Fast forward to today. I mean, seriously, I wouldn't have to go over there if I didn't need to. I go over there because I like to. I go drop supplies off because I want to see everybody and say, check in with the guys here and there. I could have it delivered by Amazon, right? But my managers call me maybe a few times a week just to say, hey, just wanted to let you know, I gave this guy a write-up, so just in case you get a call or something like that. But really, I haven't, it's no more time for me than somebody has to put into maybe an Airbnb or a mobile home park or something like that. But in the beginning, we just built a house in our backyard with an ADO, and we started a midterm rental. I think that actually took more time to set up. Do you agree?
Yeah, there's a lot more software.
A lot more management.
Oh my gosh. it's a learning curve for us.
Yeah.
Like 4 people in a house. Oh my gosh, that's so complicated. How do we do that? You know?
I mean, honestly, when I was setting that up, I kept thinking my sober living. So why am I not doing another sober living? They're so much easier for me. And I'll
that's 4 people to 20 people you got.
Yeah.
Correct. The difference. Yeah.
But and I will say this, it's very different in the way you accept people. Like with our midterm, you know, they call you, you go through the whole process, they sign the lease, blah, blah, blah. My sober living, I've done this for so long, it maybe takes me 22 seconds or 15 seconds, whatever, to know right away if they're going to be a good fit for the house or not. And then basically, I don't do a background check. I don't do a credit check because none of that would pan out. And I just feel the vibe of the person. And then I'm like, okay, show up. We have a bed open. Show up. The manager will do your intake paper at 2:00 tomorrow. I don't know how it works. It's kind of crazy. I don't know. Like when I say it out loud, I'm like, oh, but for us, it works. But I do want to do this precursor or this, whatever you want to call it. Like, it might not work for everybody, right? It all depends on what your personality is, like how big of a risk taker you are. Another strategy might not work for me because it just my personality might not work with that or whatever. So, I'm not saying everybody in the world go do sober livings because somebody might not. It might be really hard for another person. Where to me, if a problem arises, it's not a big deal. I just handle it and move on to the next thing. It just doesn't stress me out. Financially, we have 47 to 50 beds we fill every month, and we charge $700 a bed. Reid could probably go over some of those numbers because he's more of a numbers person. Like house number 2 in this day and time, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, are we getting like 48% cash on?
Yeah, I think it's, I apologize, I didn't come prepared to tell the exact numbers, but we're in the ballpark of around 46 to 48% cash on cash return. But that was with our original purchase price. Values of homes are a little bit higher now than they were in 2014, 2015. So
those numbers might not work out with the price of housing today.
The difficult part on finding the right property for, let's say, specifically for sober living, you can't use just any home. And there's a lot of differences between the different properties and whatever style you're looking for. So you want like a corner lot or something. If you're going to have more people in your home than the average home, you need to have more parking area. So you can't have a home at the end of a cul-de-sac because you're going to have 15 cars there. Where are you going to park all those? Like, you're going to have major disruption in your neighborhood. And so you can get kickback from the other people who live in the neighborhoods. There's other factors that go into finding the right property. But I mean, there are different, how do you say, there's different styles to how you would run a sober living. There are certain ones that you can, charge anywhere from $5,000 to $15,000 per bed. And you may only have like 4 or 5 beds in your home. And then there's other ones you can have like 20 beds in a home, it depends on the clientele that you're going for.
And the area too. But LA, $5,000 a bed, you're hoping you're getting a decent place, Orange County is a different price than where we are. So it all depends on where you're at.
Yeah.
Wow. So let me just ask a quick question on that. So, obviously, these are individuals that's coming in for recovery.
Mm-hmm.
So is the government is the one that paying the bills, or who's responsible for paying those bills?
So yes and no. It depends, again, on the style of home you're looking at. There are some government programs that pay for people to live in
county beds.
County beds or whatever, but we take all private pay.
We don't do county.
I don't do any government funding at all. And so again, it's the type of place that you're looking for. So we find that our niche within the industry is, we want the people that are self-motivated to make a change in their life. And so we have a lower price point at $700 a month, and that covers all your utilities. not toiletries, but like the basic necessities, bedding, all that kind of stuff. And we want somebody to be able to get a minimum wage job and be able to live here. We want a starting point for people to come in and be able to just find some sort of job, because they probably have a background where they have some, criminal history, or, who knows what they did when they were using drugs. So that's the area that we wanted to focus on. We wanted to kind of focus on helping people start out from the get-go without support from others.
So by the time they get to sober living, they probably burned some bridges, right? Like mom, dad, like, I don't know, stole all their checkbooks, whatever happened. So by the time they get to sober living, parents are like, oh, I'm so depleted. We wanted them to learn how to do it on their own so they don't have to rely on family, and they could build that relationship back up with them. So actually our area, we are one of the highest prices in our area, but overall we're still very low compared to Orange County and Los Angeles County. And like Reid said, we had a specific reason for doing that. We want everybody to be able to afford it on their own. And we're still making money, and we're still giving a good house. And so we try to keep our prices as low as possible.
So is there other like so I imagine there's like for midterm rentals or Airbnbs, you have like the different platforms that you post that this is like, I offer this service. Is there some equivalent of that? And also, like, do you guys help on the back end with even setting up like jobs or resources for, those sort, like to put, get them ready to, be contributing to society?
So I will say this: sober living is a very interesting situation. We literally just provide the house, clean and sober. We don't supply any services. So we don't help. I do supply a house computer that they could look up jobs or whatever, but it's really a network of guys. These guys, and I'm using my house number 2 as an example, and house number 1. They are like this brotherhood of like support for each other. So when one guy gets a job like at a warehouse, he'll come home and be like, hey, there's 3 other jobs. And then 3 other guys go to that warehouse. Like, they're so supportive within each other. And they turn out to be like lifelong friends. Like, we don't have a high turnover rate. So we have an average of like about a year is, on average for something. But the longest person we have right now with us is 6 years. So, but between a year and 6 years, like, people don't leave, like, they literally, this is like it's so cool to go over there, you guys. Like, if you're ever in our area, I'll take you over. Like, it's so cool to see. But, and even my female house, you would think 17 females living in a house. They're amazing. Like, I go over there and they don't even understand what they do for me every day. Like, they're to go from being 10 years of heroin, putting a needle in your arm, to actually, I'm giving an example of somebody who was 10 years, couldn't get clean and sober, had shooting up heroin, coming into our house. 2 years later, he started asking us, like, oh, I like what you guys do. So we said, we got to listen to Bigger Pockets, right? Skip forward now 4 years. He's already bought his 2 rentals. He's killing it. Like, he listens to you guys it's so crazy. I'm not Bigger Pockets, but you know what I'm saying? Like, it is insane to see how some of these guys can come in so broken and how they change their life. Now, does that happen for every single person coming in? No. There are people who relapse and who overdose and, like, after they leave our house, but that don't make it. But for us, we've had such a good experience with people making it.
Yeah.
So it's amazing.
I would say in general, we have a very high success rate in comparison to other sober livings, even in our area or outside of our area. Just in general, people ask, the how long people are staying, and we get the same response from everybody. No way. There's no way you're having an average of a year-long, tenancy.
Our occupancy rate is between 97% and 102.
Wow.
Depending on house.
102.
Yeah.
That's a first.
That's for real.
100%.
Couch surfing.
Yeah. No, but it just works out. Like, sometimes somebody leaves and another one comes in that same day, but they've kind of both paid. Yeah, it's kind of.
It's like overlapping. I see what you're saying.
But that's what it is right there. You started off by saying what you do, you should have some type of connection to it. And by you having the connection to it, you ensuring that all the processes in place and everything that's needed is there for everyone to come in and be as successful as they can be. Once again, I tip my hat off to the both of you because I really think that that's awesome. So let's just fast forward this story a little bit, if you don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
So now, you come in and you're a stay-home mom, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you look over to your husband and say, baby, I got a dream. He's like, all right, well, lay it on me, right? So laid it on him. You created these 3, sober living, right? You got it up and running, put all the work up front, and now they're basically managing themselves. So now what does that do for you in your life at this point in time?
I'm going to Jamaica next month. Going to Africa in June, Patagonia, and a few more months after that.
So cool.
This has provided me with time freedom and financial freedom. Reid is still in his W-2 job because we've got some big goals with some certain things. But so now I'm just kind of working on helping him get into that, and I know it's a cliche. You hear, I want financial freedom and I want time freedom. But we want that at the same time, right? If you have time freedom, but you don't have the finances, that kind of is hard, and vice versa. So we're in the next 3 years, we're gonna meet our goals and get him to walk away from his W-2. I know I didn't answer your question earlier about like platforms to market and whatnot. There's not. Like I don't hear anybody else talking about sober living except for me. There are some Facebook pages and Facebook groups where people are looking for sober living homes or other sober living owners, but it's not really a platform to like market like podcasts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So to be 100% honest with you guys, I've never spent $1 in marketing. I don't go out and market. It's all word of mouth. It's building a reputation. When an open bed comes, I get a call and they're like, oh, so-and-so in your house said there's an open bed. Can I get in? Or the different drug rehabs, just, I've networked with them. So they know when people leave, they can call me. It's a very tight community. So they go to like their AA and their NA meetings. They all talk oh, what house are you living in or where you're at? It's completely word of mouth for us personally.
Yeah. When you have a group of guys or
They're your biggest marketers
that are going to these meetings and they only have positive things to say about where they're living, because a lot of times they only have negative, or they have a lot of negative things to say about where they're living. Like, yeah, I can't wait to get out or whatever. That's not the case with our place. We have a lot of people that are just out there, selling from within because they love where they live.
and they don't even know that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
It's like, it's organic. Anyway, I'm sorry.
No, not at all. No, I love that. I think it's, when people are weighing kind of their options, and you guys have experience with long-term, with, the sober living, with midterm, so kind of short-term. So what's like the pros and cons, and like just with your own experience, and just because I think you have a different perspective than a lot of other investors, because I think a lot of other investors, they see shiny object syndrome. They see short-term rentals, it's sexy, let's do it. Hey, midterm rentals, it's sexy, let's do it. Then they do it and they're like, hey, it's not for me. And so, I just, if you can kind of share, what's your thoughts just with your experience with everything and with your, like, aligned with your goals.
So let me see if I understand this question. So our sober living it's like a hybrid model. It's short-term, mid-term, and long-term all mixed in. The pro to that is that you always have this core group of people that live there, right? Like you have this group that say they've been there a year, right? Say 10 guys. So if somebody leaves and another person comes in, those guys, that's their house. Like they're not going to let somebody just kind of come in and mess it up. That's where the management for us is lighter, because I don't have to do it all on my own. These 10 guys are like, no, we don't do that here. This is how we run things. And they actually teach the new guys, right? So I don't have to go over for every new person. Like, okay, make sure you don't touch this, and blah, blah, blah. They'll kind of work it out. If, okay, now I forgot the question. That's where my old brain just,
weighing the option of just like different niches, and like what you, based on your experience, because of what you've seen on like the, even like your recent experience with midterm rentals with your ADU, like,
like I love it, but I feel like, I guess, okay, so let me compare my midterm to my sober living. I love both of them. I love hospitality. So for me, that's the part that I love, making somebody feel welcome. And when they come in and they like the space that I created. And that's no different with the sober living. I love when guys come in and they're like, wow, I feel at home. Even though it's like for drug addicts and alcoholics, right? It's no different for me than doing it short-term or midterm. But I feel more pressure on my midterm. I feel like if it's not perfect and there's like a dust ball or a hair left or something, I might get like a complaint, right? Where my sober living guys, places they've come from, they're like, dude, I don't give a shit if there's a hairball in the corner. Like, this is clean. Like, I don't have the same pressure. They don't put that same pressure on me. I don't know if I said that correctly, but so I just feel like it's more laxed. Not that it's not clean, it's spotless. They have AM chore and PM chore. You walk into that house, it is spotless. But I don't have that same pressure that somebody would be disappointed in a small little thing. And that would be a comparison for me with that. That being said, I also want to just say there's so many outside of the box things that you can think of with real estate investing. And I feel like most people I talk to, it's just long-term, midterm, or short-term, right? But say you don't connect with wanting to deal with drug addicts or alcoholics. Have you ever had to put a parent in a home? Maybe like adult foster care you would connect with. Maybe, have you ever been a single mom and not been able to afford a place? Renting a house for mom and children. Even dads. You know how many dads I see that come from getting divorced or getting back up off their feet from a life, and they have their kids, they have nowhere to take them because they can't afford a big house and all this stuff. What about a house for dads and kids that can support each other, still work, still have their thing, and be able to afford to have their kids on the weekend? Like, I run into a lot of dads that are fighting too for their kids and just don't have, they just don't have, everybody thinks, oh, dads have all the money, or they don't. They're struggling out there just as much as women. There are so many things that you could take, even a midterm or a long-term or short-term, whatever, and make it into a housing for people who it can be affordable because they're sharing. So you're still making good money, right? But they're being able to have less money per room. There's just so many different things that think outside of the box that you can help people and make some good money.
Yeah. And I think it's important to look at what you're passionate about. And I didn't really understand what passion was until we got into this. Devana led with her passion, and then I gravitated, connected, and then understood what she was talking about, which you wanted to give people more, and my head, I'm very analytic. I'm like, give people more. That means you're taking money out of your pocket, right? Now that when you want to give more and you want to do more for people, you find out that the money just starts coming to you. I mean, we don't have to work as hard for the places that we have now. They almost feed themselves. And now I have this new passion for recovery, for drug and alcohol recovery, and the people involved in it. I just love hugging people. I'm just going to say it. I love hugging people, and I can walk over to those houses where we have people living in those houses. I can roll over there, say, hey, Ken, hey, Jeff, how you doing? And we just start hugging. Like, hey, I need a hug, man. I've had a hug in at least 6 hours. I need one, And it's so cool to be able to go over and just love on some people, and share that. I'm super passionate about helping people and giving people another chance and all that. So
that's great. That's what life is all about, right? And once again, that connection the both of you are showing is the reason why you having the individuals there for the length of time that they're there, 102% occupancy, right? And that's amazing. Honestly, if you don't mind, we would love to have you back on the show because there's so much more, to talk about. And I really, 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 truly enjoy the passion that the both of you have for what you are doing. It's really absolutely amazing. So, but we have a question for you.
Yeah.
What does find your freedom means to you?
That's a great question. For me, we talked about time freedom. We talked about financial freedom a little bit. and I think I started this whole podcast or this meeting with, I'm looking for something a little bit more than what Devana has on that time freedom. And I enjoy working. I enjoy pushing and the challenge. So I don't think I'll ever quit working because I enjoy that. But I want the ability to be able to not have to work 40 hours in a week or specific days. I would like to work on a Tuesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or be able to work while I'm away from home. I want to travel and be able to work at the same time. And so I want to set things up that allow me to do that. I think continuing to work, it kind of feeds me.
Well, you'll work for yourself always, but in a W-2 job where you have
So I want to get out of like the working for somebody on a set schedule. I can work as a consultant for somebody if I wanted to. But we have a couple things that we're working on to get myself financially set to where I don't have to work for somebody, but I can when I want to. So,
for me, finding my freedom, I feel like I have in a certain way. But that being said, now I'm helping him kind of find it. I will kind of touch on something that he said too, like that freedom comes when we do a lot of work ourselves on the houses and whatever, but that's our choice. And getting to a place where you're like, I don't want to redo the roof on my own. I want to pay somebody to do the roof on my own. Or to be able to say, no, I'm kind of bored the next couple weeks. I want to go tear the roof off and do it. To have the ability to choose whether you want to or not, whether you want to take a trip or not, whether you want to just lay on the couch or not, just kind of, having choice in life and not having to have to do to survive or live, right?
Yeah, I'll do a real quick thing. I'm super proud about this, and this is going to sound super geeky, but I decided I was going to put solar panels on my house. So I decided I'm going to do it myself. I'm going to buy the materials. I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to do it. I've never done anything like that before. I've just heard, it's difficult. So it's not. And I'm deciding that I'm going to do that on my rental properties. I can still pay for somebody or lease and not have to put money out to do that. But I have the option to tear off a roof, put a new roof on, put solar panels on the roof, and save half of the cost that I would pay somebody else. And I get the choice to do that when I have enough time and freedom to be able to take on a bigger project like that. So
by the way, that'll put like $30,000 more in our pocket for the rest of our life. It's like buying another house. So anyway.
I love that. I guess next time I see you guys, I'm gonna expect a hug because it looks like you guys are huggers, so I better get a hug. But for people who can't see you like in person, how do they connect with you? What's the best way to find you?
Yeah, Reid's not on any social media. He's not any. So I'm
focused on my beard.
Yeah,
real quick,
beard life.
I'm a very authentic person, and I like to be humble. So you made a comment at the beginning of me about my beard. I'm going to let everybody know I flat iron this thing. I'm a little bit high maintenance on it, so it doesn't just come like that. Like I got to work on it. So
our job a little bit is real.
So you can find me on Instagram at Investing Mama, MAMA, spelled mama. Facebook is Devana Came, so Devana Came. And our website for the sober living homes is thehouseofcourage.com. We're currently working on our direct marketing site for our midterm, so that's not quite out yet. I think Investing Mama and Devana Came.
Fantastic. All right, cool. So this is like the best part of the show outside of the great story that everybody just provided. So what we like to do is we like to do this boom session, right? So, what we're going to do in a uniform manner, we're going to count down or count up 1, 2, 3, then go boom. So the objective here is to, bust some speakers, rattle some eardrums.
Use hands and
right?
everything.
Everything,
Okay.
right? All right, so you ready?
Yeah.
All right, perfect. All right, on 3. 1, 2, 3. Awesome. Listen here. We just had a fantastic episode with 2 fantastic people, and what they are doing and the connection that they have with what they are doing is absolutely amazing. I really, once again, tip my hat off to them and what they're doing, because it really means a lot to helping people get back on their feet and get back to working regularly in society. All right. So with that being said, we always have something for you. So easily downloadable, something that can help you change your life as well. Go to findyourfreedom.com/freedom kit. Once again, find your freedom, REI.com/freedom kit. Now, we need you to listen to this episode and give us an honest 5-star review. And make sure that you share this with your brother, your sister, your aunt, your uncle, your mother, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, whoever. Also, share this with the coworker you don't even like. Okay? So with that being said, until the next episode of Find Your Freedom, talk to you soon. Peace.
Thanks for listening to Find Your Freedom. Be sure to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. While you're at it, please help us spread the word by leaving a rating and review and sharing the podcast with friends, family, and colleagues. Until next time, get out there and find your freedom.